All right, ladies and gentlemen, day number 2, Boston Celtics! Off-season review. Okay, so the Boston Celtics, they didn't do much this summer. They drafted Robert Williams with the 27th overall pick. They re-signed Marcus Smart for 4 years and $52 million. And they re-signed Aaron Baynes to a 2-year, $10.6 million contract. Let's start by talking about Robert Williams. In the mock draft video that we did back in July, we had Robert Williams going between the 10 to 14 range, as most mock drafts did, but he actually fell to the Celtics in the late first round. It's definitely a good pick at a position of need. Robert Williams is an athletic center who's great at finishing around the rim. He has relatively quick feet for a center and did average about 2.6 blocks per game. In many of Williams' games in college, you see him bully people around with his size and leap advantage, which is something that he won't exactly have in the NBA anymore. He did shoot 47% from the free throw line, which is going to be a bit of a problem. I'm also not sure that Williams can be the type of big man that Brad Stevens needs in his offense, because Stevens asks his bigs to do quite a bit of decision making and passing. Now, the good news is that Williams is just a rookie and that he probably won't be playing much this season unless Horford or Baynes goes out with an injury. I don't think he has much of a ceiling as a player, to be honest. To me, he projects to be a solid role-playing center who sets screens, rolls to the rim, rotates on defense, stuff like that. As for the 2 other major offseason moves, both Marcus Smart and Aaron Baynes' contracts were right about market value. You can't really argue that they were overpaid, but you also can't argue that it was a bargain. The Marcus Smart deal was basically identical to the deal the Celtics offered him during last fall, and the Baynes deal is just 2 years, so it doesn't really matter too much. And both deals are pretty tradable at $5 million per year and $13 million per year. Overall, I'm giving the Celtics offseason grade a B. They brought back 2/5 of their bench from last year, which shows that they have a lot of confidence in this bench unit, and as very well they should. Now here's where we get to the juicy part with regards to the Celtics. They have some very interesting decisions to make with regards to their lineup. This is what I think their depth chart will look like. Now, I think Kyrie, Hayward, and Horford are locks. I think it does make sense to still have Jalen and Tatum in the starting lineup as well, although you could make an argument to put Marcus Smart in the starting lineup ahead of Tatum. The Celtics are stacked with so many great young players that it will be difficult dividing up the minutes. Kyrie, Hayward, and Horford are all proven veterans and proven all-stars, so they won't have some weird ego problem, but they also happen to be the 3 best players on the team and should be top 3 in minutes per game, or I mean at least 30 minutes per game. Then you look at someone like Marcus Morris, who has a huge ego. I think Boston fans are totally with me on this. And Marcus Morris isn't a guy who would be happy getting anything less than 25 minutes per game. Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown should both be playing at least 30 minutes per game, given how good they already are and how young they are. Marcus Smart and Terry Rozier both deserve at least 20 to 25 minutes per game. You can mathematically fit in all those minutes, but there's still a question of shots. Who's going to take how many shots? Kyrie will get his, no doubt, but beyond that, if Jalen Brown is playing alongside Kyrie, Hayward, Tatum, and Horford, how is he ever going to get to score? That's why it's worth considering putting Smart in the starting lineup and benching one of Tatum or Brown, or at least playing one of those guys with the bench unit more often. Still, Rozier is probably heading into free agency next year since he's worth more than the $4 million qualifying offer. Jalen Brown is next up a year later, and neither of these guys have signed their big deal yet. If you don't think these guys care about their numbers, that their agents are whispering in their ear like, make sure you get your numbers so you can get your money, well then you don't know the NBA very well. Of course, that's what's happening. I would like to point out though that this is a very good problem to have. I mean, all the other 29 teams only wish that they had too many good young players that all deserve minutes. Like this is a good situation. It's still a problem that needs to be solved, but all things considered, it's a good problem to have. I do think that although Toronto's roster is as good as Boston's this year, Boston has way more continuity and chemistry. So I can pretty comfortably say that the Celtics should be the favorites for the first seed and the favorites to win the East. Vegas has Boston winning 58.5 games, which is a pretty high bar, but I'm actually gonna go over. They won 55 games last year with no Hayward, with Kyrie and Horford both missing significant time. This team has a lot of depth. The young guys are only going to get better, and honestly, 60 wins doesn't seem out of the question to me. Even though you Boston sports fans are all a bunch of spoiled jerks, I have to admit, you got a good team. And it's starting to look like the Celtics might dominate the 2020 decade. All right, that's it for the Boston Celtics. Stay tuned for the other 28 upcoming NBA team season previews. Peace!